Hey, everybody, welcome back to the podcast. You're listening to the longest running superhero role playing game on Earth. I'm your host, the Game Master, and today we're talking about the polar opposite of our notorious Continuum Bar and Grill. But before we get into that, smash that like button, make sure you're subscribed, and leave us a comment. That helps us out with the YouTube algorithm, but also we love hearing from you guys. We've got an awesome community here, and that's thanks to you. So thank you so much for being here. So, all that said, let's dive in. The prologue to today's story serves as a recap of our last podcast episode. If you haven't seen that one yet, I highly recommend checking it out first. It goes into much greater detail about the events leading up to today's tale. Basically, the Scarlet Witch and her many variants were rebooting reality like little kids fighting over a light switch. But the beings so often known as John Redbridge don't reset because they have something called temporal inertia. So every time continuity reboots, the old Redbridge sticks around and a new one gets born into that version of the universe. Even if you undo it later, that Redbridge doesn't disappear either. He's still around too. Hopefully that makes sense. If not, like I said, be sure to watch that last video first. And if you have seen it and you are still confused, just drop a comment in the chat and I'll do my best to explain it more clearly. At the end of the previous game, all these variants of John Redbridge gathered at the Continuum Bar and Grill. It was there we found out that the current bartender is the very first version of our beloved GMPC, the original, untouched by any time traveler's meddling. Interestingly, he is so old that he actually predates even the name John Redbridge. He goes by either Flynn, which means red, or Briggs, which means bridge. So when the bar closes and all these Redbridge variants are left without homes, the original catches everybody off guard, the heroes in the game and the players at the table, by showing that the infamous bar door has a secondary mode that only they can use. He then guides these new Redbridge variants to a place unlike anything they've seen, a realm beyond the ordinary, a place that he describes as existing outside the universe, outside of the space-time continuum. Which brings us to the main plot of today's tale. One by one, each variant steps through the door into a new place. Before, they had been standing at the center of the universe. Now, they stand outside of the universe. Before, the air had been thick and humid, but in here, it feels like winter. Before, there had been sunlight. Here, the only light comes from candles and from a vast fireplace that contains something called balefire. A balefire, by the way, is a source of glamour at the center of a freehold. And glamour is the stuff of dreams. It is the energy that keeps changelings alive. And a freehold is a place where changelings can rest and get away from the pressures of banality and disbelief. A balefire looks like a real hearth fire, and it helps changelings to feel at home, restoring not only the body, but also the spirit. Speaking of changelings, the new Redbridge variants notice that some of their counterparts here are changelings. Some of them are werebears, others appear to be something akin to a Kryptonian. One of the Redbridge variants, who goes by the name Superman Red, uses his X-ray vision. The walls here look like those of a log cabin, so he peers through them, curious about what might be outside. But instead, he sees another room built from the same materials. And then beyond that, there's another, and more rooms exactly like it beyond that. In fact, he can see almost 2,000 miles in any direction, and it's always still more building. He comments on what he's seeing, and Briggs, the first of them all, calls this place the Bears Lodge. He explains that he and those like him are part of the Order of Bears. They share two things in common. First, he says, they're all mean. Second, all of our homes are gone. As his words settle, the new arrivals take a look around. The lodge is vast, its log walls hung with dragon heads and shattered robot plating and other trophies from impossible wars. The air carries the warm, smoky scent of buttered rum, pipe tobacco, and roasting meat. Somewhere nearby, something sizzles, and it's not just beef or pork, but stranger cuts, their aromas mingling with the sharp bite of ale. Drawn by the smells and the sound of laughter, they follow the glow deeper into the hall. The light grows warmer, the air richer with spice and smoke, until the room opens up before them, a grand bar built of the same living wood as the lodge itself. Wooden beams rise overhead, candles flickering beside bottles that glow faintly with glamour. Coins clink on the counter, old gold stamped with that familiar triangular Celtic knot that we've seen so many times before. A man sits near the end of the bar, black suit, white shirt, purple tie. His jacket hangs neatly over the next bar stool, untouched. His drink sits half finished, and he's not watching the fire nor the barkeep polishing glasses. He's watching the door. Each time a new Redbridge steps through, the flicker of Balefire reflects in everybody else's blue eyes. But his eyes don't catch light that same way. His are purple. And when he smiles, just barely, it isn't in greeting. Every new arrival tells him something. Continuity has shifted again, and maybe this time in his favor. As the newcomers have a look around, they spot a small stage in the corner where a band plays, filling the lodge with easy flowing music. A Redbridge dressed like an Old West piano player sits at an old-timey piano, white sleeves rolled up, a red garter tied around each arm, fingers gliding over the keys with a gentle swing. Beside him, a Redbridge in a relaxed white 1980s suit over top of a neon pink shirt strums the lead guitar, moving with effortless cool, letting notes linger in the air. Behind them, a fantasy bard-like Redbridge taps out a steady, understated rhythm on a simple drum set, keeping the music grounded and smooth. At the edge of the stage, a 1930s gangster Redbridge leans into a harmonica, the low, soulful wail threading between piano and guitar, adding a quiet, reflective layer to the sound. The music drifts through the lodge, drawing every Redbridge in without really demanding attention. One of the new Redbridges nods towards the bar, the band, the trophies on the wall as he takes in the room. Nice place you've got here, he says. Another sort of frowns and tilts his head and says, yeah, but where is here exactly? A brief silence follows, the question hanging in the smoky winter air. Briggs leans against the bar, his eyes sweeping over the new arrivals. I suppose I should explain, he says quietly. I used to be an adventurer like you, but I leveled up, so to speak. And now I'm an immortal. The words hang oddly in the air. Not a god, exactly, he continues, but I have a realm, plane, that is mine alone. In a very real sense, this lodge is me. When my universe died, I didn't vanish. I retreated inward to this place, a sort of avatar of what I am at my core. He let the words sink in, giving them just enough to sort of understand, but not so much that they can fully grasp it. The only way to permanently kill an immortal, Briggs continues, is if you do it in their home plane. So, as you can imagine, I am very selective about who I trust to come in here. From across the bar, the man with the violet eyes lets a faint smile cross his lips, though nobody seems to notice. The new arrivals nod, murmuring their thanks for being allowed into this strange protective space. Come on, Briggs says, gesturing towards a corridor branching off the hall. I'll show you to your rooms. Briggs leads them down a wide hallway. The warmth of the balefire fades quickly, and a thin chill settles over the group. There is no sunlight here, no stars, no warmth beyond the occasional flicker of a random fireplace. The space between fireplaces is far enough that each Redbridge can see his own breath. At the end of the hallway, a staircase rises, or seems to. The steps twist and turn in ways that don't entirely make sense. One flight appears to climb sideways along the wall, while another folds back on itself in a loop. And yet, the Redbridges can walk with them without stumbling. This place feels alive, shaping itself to the will of Briggs, every angle a reflection of his inner landscape. As they ascend, the cold deepens, and the hallways stretch on further than any of them can see. Briggs glances back at them. The lodge is larger than it appears, big enough to give every Redbridge in the multiverse a room, he says, and still have space to spare. The newcomers exchange bemused looks, realizing that however long they walk, there seems to be no end, and no measure of distance that makes any sense. Briggs leads them to their rooms one by one. Each door opens into a large, rustic suite. Massive hearths dominate one wall, the balefire flames flickering warmly, casting long shadows across polished wooden floors. The heat is immediate and welcome, a sharp contrast to the chill of the hallways. Opposite the fireplace sits a big bed enough for a dozen people, piled high with blankets and pillows that look supernaturally soft. The rooms are furnished simply but comfortably, every detail designed for rest and recovery. The Redbridges pause at the thresholds, taking in the scale and warmth. And for the first time since stepping through the lodge's front door, they feel a small measure of home. One by one, the new Redbridges settle into their massive beds. The warmth of the hearth seeps into their bones, easing the chill of the hallways. Blankets and pillows conform perfectly, cradling them as they lay down. They're exhausted. The journey through the bar door, the lodge, meeting Briggs, it's all taken its toll. And beneath the fatigue, a quiet ache lingers. The knowledge that their world is gone. The hearth crackles softly, the gentle flicker of balefire casting a calm golden light. One by one, their eyes close, their breathing slows, and sleep comes, deep, restorative, and undisturbed. Which brings us to the epilogue. Since none of our players noticed the man with the violet eyes at the bar, they didn't take the bait. Their night passed quietly, uneventful, the lodge's warmth and the gentle crackle of the hearth carrying them to sleep, while the potential threat went entirely unnoticed. Slowly, one by one, some of the Redbridges begin to stir. It's morning now, though this concept feels strange here. There is no sun, no sky, no traditional way to mark the passage of time. Only the gentle warmth of the balefire spilling across their massive beds. The new arrivals blink into awareness, feeling rested yet unmoored, caught between the comfort of the strange infinite lodge and the new earth, the one that is no longer their own. A few of the Redbridges rise from their massive beds, stretching and shaking off the lingering fatigue. Drawn by the smells drifting through the halls, they make their way towards the ever-open lodge bar. Bartender greets them with a quiet nod, and soon plates arrive. Thick slabs of steak from some odd alien creature, paired with eggs the size of melons, mottled in green and gold, apparently pterodactyl in origin. The aroma is rich, strange, and weirdly comforting. From the corner stage, only the piano player still plays. The Old West Redbridge sits upright, fingers moving gracefully over the keys, spinning mellow 1970s rock into an Old West style. The music wraps around the group, familiar and soothing, yet oddly out of time, just like all of them. The newcomers take cautious bites, glancing around at the familiar yet impossible surroundings. The combination of warmth, music, and bizarre breakfast makes the lodge begin to feel like the most ordinary place in the multiverse to them. The Redbridge, in the crisp white 1980s suit with the hot pink t-shirt, sits at the bar, guitar resting on the stage behind him. He swirls a glass idly, fingers tapping a quiet rhythm on the counter. So, he leans back slightly. What's been happening out there? I haven't left the lodge in years. The new arrivals exchange glances, then begin to summarize. Well, a lot has changed, one says. The Shaper of Worlds sort of deleted the old world. Some of us started making a new Camelot. Another one chimes in and says, once and future king stuff. A third mutters, Anti-Monitor came back, which made no sense. Not sure if he is before or after your time. We, gesturing to the other Redbridges, took out the Anti-Monitor back in 85. The hot pink shirted Redbridge nods, listening, absorbing, as if piecing together a puzzle. He says, so how did an unmade being become remade again? One of the newcomers explains Mr. Nobody did it. The hot pink Redbridge says, who's Mr. Nobody? Tilting his head, curiosity sharp in his eyes. One of the newcomers leans forward. Mr. Nobody. He's a being who exists outside of normal reality. He can rewrite events, erase people from history, unerase people and things, even change how time flows, all without being tied to any one universe. He's tricky and powerful. The hot pink shirted Redbridge nods slowly, letting the words sink in. So this guy can bring back things that no longer exist? A sudden hush falls over the lodge, and in that silence, every Redbridge realizes, all at once, that the worlds they thought were gone forever might not be. And that's the cliffhanger we end on today. We liked this one quite a bit. As always, we hope you did too. If so, if you would like to help the channel grow, we would love it if you smashed that like button. Make sure you're subscribed, and as always, leave us a comment. And from all of us here at the longest running superhero role-playing game on Earth, we hope you have a good one, and we'll see you in the next adventure.